Traditionally, what happens in IT is that when you take up IT, or rather when you want to learn IT in order to get a job in the IT industry, right? Traditionally, there are four paths that you can choose from, right? We have computer science, we have management information system, we have system and software engineering, right? And then we have electrical engineering, right? Which is later called computer engineering specifically. Now, computer science is where you learn you learn how computers think, what computers need, right? What kind of hardware, what kind of software. So, in general, you learn on how computers think. It's like a generic way of understanding how computers work, right? So it's like generic overview, in which case you might be able to come into any of these industry, right? Because it's a very generic type of overview. So you learn maths, you learn logic, you learn programming languages, you learn an overview of how computers think, right? And what kind of hardware and software are compatible and good. You learn database and whatnot. So it's a very generic overview of computers, right? That's computer science. Um, or you can also choose to learn how computers and technology in general can be used in order to optimize productivity in businesses. And so that is management information system. Right? Management information system is where you learn about practical usage of computers and technology in order to use it in business. Right? Now, of course, when or if organizations want to use a system, um, they need to have someone to build it first. So that is the purpose of system and software engineering. The system engineering people will actually be able to actually come up with a system to be used by these management information system people, right? To be used by an organization, right? An IT solution, so to speak. So these guys are the IT solution people, right? So they need to know things like project management. They need to know things like PR skills, because they need to communicate with people to know what their problems are so that they can come up with a solution. That is system engineering. Software engineering, on the other hand, works on a much more larger scale project, right? Meaning to say that they come up with software which can be generically used by people in general, right? Office productivity software and etc. Like Microsoft Word, for example, right? And then we have the electrical engineering people, nowadays generally as computer engineering, right? So these people actually learn about the engineering of the computer. So the main thing inside the engineering of the computer will be the microprocessor and RAM, right? This is the main engine of the computer. Meaning, when you talk about computers, historically, computers are basically things they can actually process and calculate, right? So mostly they learn about the architecture of the microprocessor as well as RAM, right? So anyway, these are, of course, when you go into university or college, you might have these four traditional pathways, or they might be in addition to that: software engineering, network technology, information technology, library management, lots of different things. But these are the four traditional ones. Now, but because IT is an ever expanding, ever progressing industry, you will have to learn more things other than the things that you formally learn at school, right? Which means that you have to add up your knowledge and add up and upgrade your knowledge. For example, you can go to seminars, right? You can refer to magazines and publications, right? Right? You can go to webinars, which is web seminar. You can go to trade fair, like PC fair. You see, if you go to PC fair, you see lots of things like new technologies. new software. You can touch and feel certain things. You shouldn't touch and feel people. You can touch and feel certain technologies. New mouse, laser this or laser that, shoot people, laser, whatever, right? So these are ways to actually improve yourselves, right? But what we are going to focus on in terms of here is the four pathways, and then we're going to focus on this. You can see this is a very focused method of improving oneself if you want to go into IT. It's called certification, right? Certification is basically where you go and study for several months, um, and then you take a formal assessment, a test, right? Which will determine whether or not you're competent in that particular technology. Usually it's networking technology or a kind of software. So these tests are conducted by the industry, meaning either people who create the software or vendors who sell the software or technology, right? So certification has advantages, of course, right? For example, if you have a certificate, it is a very valid proof that you're competent in using that technology, right? So you might get better job offers or better salary or really match the whatever your prospective employer is looking for, right? But there are risks to certification as well because you spend some time as well as money, and it's somewhat a gamble because, like I said, it's an ever progressing industry, right? If you spend 6 months or 18 months learning in a technology and then later become obsolete, what happens then, right? Or in terms of certification, there will be narrow training, meaning you're focusing on something. That means you're not focusing on other things, right? And then whatever is tested is usually narrow, meaning any kinds of assessment won't test everything. They will test a few things and focus on a few things. So although you're good in using the software, you might be good because you focus on certain things, like almost as if you're spot the questions, something like that, right? So regardless of whether or not you improve yourself in certification and seminar and magazine and whatnot, now this is with regards to the IT industry, right? If you're in a different other industries, of course you can do the same thing, right? You can, for example, um, get yourself acquainted with a professional body, for example, right? And needless to say, as job seekers, you will need skills which are soft skills, hard skills, as well as technical skills. Technical skills are with regards to technique, and it is directly related to what industry you're in. For example, if you're wanting to be a lawyer, right? So technical skills, what technical skills do you need? For example, debating skills. Actually, I'm not entirely sure what technical skills lawyers have, right? But if it's engineering, for example, you have a certain technical skills with regards to engineering. Then we have hard skills, which is process related. This is with regards to business, meaning bosses generally, they do not just want people who are good at doing whatever stuff they can do. They also want people who can think for the business, right? So hard skills are process related, meaning you know things, for example, how to do marketing, right? Process related, or networking with people, right? Business and process related, maybe accounting, right? So these are all hard skills. And then we have soft skills. Soft skills are people related, leadership skills, PR skills, whether or not you're friendly. These are people related skills, and there's almost no formal assessment, meaning there is no test for friendliness. I'm taking a test for friendliness, I'm very friendly, right? There's no such thing, right? So you will need these things in order for you to get a career in IT or otherwise. And then with regards to, although we discussed about careers in IT, you can also relate it to yourself. You might want to, for example, if you want to go into law, engineering, or medic, or whatever, you might want to check out what available courses are for you and in what industry and institution, and what other things can you do to improve yourself, right? Getting acquainted with professional bodies and etc. Right? So we'll later discuss about what we can do once or if we have IT.